Hello and welcome to Philosophy 300. Today's topic is the dangers of philosophy.
I think the first and most serious danger is the threat of nihilism and existential angst. Thinking too hard about your existence and purpose in life is almost always going to send you into a crisis. If you think about anything too much, it'll start to appear strange and you'll find reasons to doubt it. You may discover that good and evil weren't as clear as you once thought, and it may be true that our lives are meaningless and nothing we ever do will matter in the grand scheme of things. It may be true that we are only collections of atoms in a cold and empty void of space, but the less time you think about that, the better off you'll be.
Now, the next major danger of philosophy is the social penalties you'll experience.
Socrates was famously put to death for doing too much philosophy on the streets of Athens. It's a universal truth that doing too much philosophy will only annoy everyone around you. Does anyone like a person who just walks around finding ways to disagree with everything? Well, that's what philosophy will do to you. It's alienating and abrasive. The total range of positions you disagree with will increase, and you'll find yourself less and less compatible with the people around you. You may develop opinions you didn't know you had, and you may exhibit ideas and behaviors that society finds strange. It's not likely you'll be put to death, but you'll definitely be less accepted than you were before.
Another risk we must consider is that philosophy is just not conducive to happiness.
I had a philosophy professor who once said, "If you spend too much time reflecting on yourself and the world, perhaps you ought to be depressed." I think there is something true here. Homo sapiens are not purely rational creatures, and forcing ourselves to be more philosophical is unnatural and takes us further away from what we really are. Walking around thinking critically about everyone and everything is surely going to make you miserable. Sometimes you just gotta roll with it and be happy and not overthink everything, which is the opposite of how philosophers do things.
Another consequence, not often discussed, is that philosophy can actually lead to murder.
Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, after reading a little too much Nietzsche, decided they should go out and kill someone, which resulted in some ridiculous trial nobody remembers anymore. Actually, there is some evidence that a few despotic rulers have been influenced by famous philosophers. There is some evidence that Pol Pot and the Cambodian genocide was his failed attempt to create a communist utopia described in Plato's Republic. Lots of crazy dictators were driven by some philosophical ideology that only works inside their own heads. The world would be better off if world leaders came down a little closer to Earth.
Well, those are the dangers of philosophy. And also, it's possible that the benefits of philosophy are deeply overstated. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this lecture and have a good night.